Hi everybody! Welcome to the holiday season. It is fast upon us and I'm really excited. We just put up our tree here this weekend with our family and had a gingerbread contest, and we're doing all sorts of fun things this year to get ready for the holidays and get in the Christmas season, the Christmas spirit. With everything that's going on right now in the world, it just feels good to do some things that bring us a little bit of cheer. I'm Charlotte. In case you are new here, I'm a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade science teacher. I teach a general science course too, and I love bringing you tips and tricks for taking care of yourself as a teacher, how to balance work life and family life, and also some instructional tips along the way. So welcome. Today's video is going to be all about teacher self-care. I did a presentation for our local leadership conference. It's called NERISA, and I did not get an opportunity to share everything during that workshop due to time constraints. So today I wanted to go ahead and put out my full presentation on here. The materials that I'm going to present today will be linked in the description box, and you're welcome to use these materials for your own school district. If your district wants to do something on self-care with the teachers, please take anything. These materials are yours. I really just want to help people, especially right now. During this pandemic, it's really important that we support each other and offer each other resources so that we can all stay sane while we're taking care of our students. All right, so with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And like I said, everything is linked below, so you'll find a copy of this presentation below, including this agenda right here. And this is what we're going to be going over today. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my personal story and how I came to understand the importance of teacher self-care. And then I have some articles that I'm not going to take the time to go through with you today, but they are going to be linked in the description. This is great research in case you want to present something, or if you just want to take a few minutes to read yourself about the statistics of the importance of teacher self-care and the fact that it's a proven fact that taking care of yourself is actually taking care of students, and students learn best when they're learning from teachers who are taking care of themselves. Links to the agenda are right here on this bit.ly, but that will also be in the description box of this video. Alright, so here is my family's most recent family photo. Isn't it a great photo? I love this photo of us. Everybody's smiling, everybody's happy. It looks like life is great, right? In fact, if you look on my social media, it looks like life is great all the time. You'll see a lot of pictures about us serving in the community, because we do a lot with our church and with other organizations in the community. You'll see us doing fun things with our family. In fact, I just posted some things this weekend about our family holiday traditions. You'll see trips that we've taken. Everything looks like a lot of fun all the time. Milestones of our daughters, holidays, and of course, as teachers, we serve multiple roles. These are just two of the hats that I wear here. It's my work hat, my teacher hat, and over here, my hat as a children's ministry partner, working with kids in the church setting. Whatever you do as a teacher, I'm sure that the type of people that we are, we tend to give and give and give and give. And if we're not careful, we can outgive our capacity for giving and not take time to fill ourselves up so that we have what we need to continue giving like that. May of 2015, our family was on the way home from our middle daughter's induction into the National Honor Society. The ceremony ended a little early, and the girls wanted to go to their youth group. They had a special event going on at the church that evening, senior night, and they didn't want to miss it. So I opted to stay home actually because my national board renewal was coming up, and I had a lot of work to do on that. So they dropped me off at home, and I was busy working. They went to the church. About 9 o'clock, I got a phone call from a good friend of mine that there'd been a really bad head-on collision, and they were pulling people out of the car. As you see, it was in bad shape. In fact, we have some friends that serve on the local volunteer fire department, and they are aware of all of the calls that go back and forth whenever there's any kind of an emergency, and they're called on the scene, and they were listening, and before they even realized it was us, they were hearing that the paramedics that had just arrived at the scene, when they saw the condition that the vehicle was in, they didn't expect anyone to come out of that vehicle alive. Luckily, everybody in my family survived. All three of my daughters were in there. My husband was in there. A family friend was in there. Everybody made it out okay. There were only two people actually in the car that got pretty hurt, and that was my husband. He had some, neck and spinal fractures and hip fractures. And my youngest daughter, who had not yet put her seatbelt on, in fact, they were pulling out of the parking lot when the accident happened, and she was putting her seatbelt on and hadn't clicked it yet, and they got in the accident. So she broke her first rib, which is like very close to your collarbone, and she, was healing for like a month after that. Ultimately, everybody did walk away from the accident. We were very fortunate. It was a very difficult evening for us, but this was actually the start of me realizing how important it was to take care of my own health, because there had been many events that had led up to this time, different struggles that we had had. We had moved from Ohio. We were originally from southern Ohio, and I'd taught there for a really long time, and then my husband lost his job due to budget cuts with the National Park Service, and we moved, and then when we got out here, we had difficulty getting started. So we had been through a lot of things, and I was just going and doing all these things for other people and not really taking care of my own health. After this accident, my mental health was not in a really good place because I was constantly fearful that something was going to happen to my family. I had a lot of trauma even though I wasn't there for the accident. Just the fact that my entire life flashed before my eyes, everything that was important to me, I almost lost in a span of, just a few short minutes. So this was like a real eye-opener for me. But unfortunately, even though I wasn't in a good place, I was just like trying to survive and deal with the aftermath of the accident. We were trying to, file insurance claims. Our insurance rates went sky high. We had various medical bills because my husband was cited for the accident, even though it really wasn't his fault, but he was not conscious at the time that the police report was written to be able to make his own statement. So there were a lot of things that happened after this that I was just so busy trying to survive what was going on that I wasn't really taking care of my own mental and physical health. So it just got progressively worse and worse and worse and worse. But I just kept trying to take care of everyone else instead of stopping and processing the things that I was going through. On social media, we only see the front half of a person's life. We see the happy memories, the things that people want to focus on, the things that are important to them to remember later on. I share great things on social media that I love about my life, but that doesn't mean my life is perfect. And I'm sure all of you are the same. If we just look at the front half of our lives, it looks like everything is perfect. But all of us have struggles. All of us are facing things, and especially this year with the pandemic, there are so many things that we're dealing with. And so it's really important that, number one, we understand that, whatever is going on in people's lives, we're really only seeing a small part of it. So having compassion for other people and knowing that there's a struggle that you definitely you don't know all of the story unless you're really close with that person, unless they're sharing those private, intimate things with you. You don't really know everything about what they're going through. So, just being kind and gracious with each other and not trying to hold each other to too high of a standard, because we really don't know. Um, we don't know where people are at unless we're very close to them. And then, also just giving yourself that grace and that space to like not be perfect, to not have a perfect life, to, have parts of you that are broken and healing and constantly, being reworked. That's normal. So if nothing else today, I just want to encourage you that, like, other people have that kind of thing going on too. And you're not alone. After this story, after everything happened, the accident, it wasn't until like 2 years later that I actually got to my breaking point, because I just kept pushing past this. But this is where it started. And actually, what happened was I lost a job. And I had always been very successful as a teacher. I had always been, rated as like, at the top of my, ratings for my state evaluation system. I'd always been, doing everything that I needed to do to take care of students and, pushing forward in my career and progressing and learning. And this situation was really like, it can it just opened my eyes to what can happen to you as a person if you don't take time to take care of you. You can be the most talented person, the most caring person, loving person. You can be in it for all the right reasons, but if you don't take care of yourself, you can become someone that isn't able to keep up with your own life. And you can become someone that, your reactions to everything around you, if you're in survival mode, make you appear to be something completely different. So it's so important. Self-care is one of the most important things that you could do in your career to be successful and to do what's best for students. And this was just my slide to point out that, I just kept giving and giving and giving and giving, like most of you probably feel like you're doing right now, whether you are in a hybrid situation with learning, whether you are fully remote, whatever situation your district is in right now. I know that we're all tired. It's right before Christmas break. We're all tired. And we always are tired this time of year, but this year tops all the other years, because no matter who you are, you feel like you're a brand new teacher again, trying to learn everything. It's so important that you recognize when you're getting here to this point, before you completely collapse, that you're putting back into yourself. And that can look like a lot of different things. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. So one thing that I want to point out to you is that you're going to go through times in your life where you might think that, you're at an all-time low and you can't bounce back from it, but you will. You may even feel like that this year. You may feel like, you just don't ever want to teach again. You're ready to give up. There are a lot of people that have given up. This was a picture of me after I lost my job. It took me a little while to get my footing and to figure out what I was doing after that. But this was my first day of school in year 23, and I actually was going back to school in like late September as a volunteer. Because at the time that I lost my job, when all of this happened, I actually was pursuing my EDS in administration, and I needed field experience hours. And it was very easy to get them when I was doing my job as a teacher and an instructional coach. But it was much more difficult to get them when I was no longer working full-time in a school system. So I just decided, hey, you know what? I'm still a teacher. I'm still a certified person. I still know what I'm doing, and I still am here for the right reasons, for students. And so I called some people that I knew, and I offered to come in and volunteer and work with students, and it was the best thing that I could have done. And in doing that, because that was something that brought me joy, I was going in, I was spending time with the students. There were no like expectations being set for me at that time. Anything that I did was going to be help to them. And so there was really like a low pressure, it was a low pressure situation for me. And it was a great opportunity for me to just go in and just enjoy being with the kids and do what I trained to do and just heal. And so I want to say to you that like no matter like where you're at right now with pandemic teaching and learning, however low you feel, and however down you might be on the profession with everything that's happening, you can come back. You will come back. And you'll always be a teacher as long as you don't actually give up on your career. You can do this and you can heal and you can get back in the classroom and you're going to be fine. So I want you to think about your own personal situation right now. I want you to think about whether you can relate to being overwhelmed um, in your own life, and what did you do about it? What are you doing about it? And what are you doing to take care of yourself? I'm not going to play this video right now, but I will. I'll put a card up in the corner, and you can click on it if you'd like to watch it. This is a statistic video about teacher stress and well-being, and I want to emphasize that a lot of teachers feel like self-care is not valued by the people that are in charge of them. However, I think that with the pandemic, this is actually changing because it's become an issue that has been brought to the forefront, because during this time, physical health has been on the minds of everyone, but along with that, mental health has been on the minds of everyone. Student mental health, but also educator mental health has been talked about more now than it has been in the past. And I think it's so vitally important that if we're caretakers, if we're in a caretaker type of position or a service type of profession, that we're constantly filling ourselves up so we have something to give out. But this video talks about the statistics of the numbers of teachers that have thought about leaving the profession or are actually leaving the profession. But this video, interestingly enough, was actually done a couple of years ago. And so when you put that into perspective, the statistics here are startling because we know that they're greater now than they ever have been. So just something to keep in mind. If you're one of those people, try to hang in, try to reinvent yourself, try to hold on until we get through this season of education and see where we're at on the other side.